In this video, we're going to build this amazing subwoofer enclosure. It all starts over on the CNC machine, so let's get to work. After cutting all the parts on the CNC machine, I'm going to grab the multi-tool, cut all the tabs down. Then it's over to the router table to trim those tabs off with a flush trim bit. It's an extra step, but you get a better result. Now with everything cleaned up, I've got to do that thing that every YouTuber is obliged to do, and I've got to stack up the wood on the workbench with a bunch of dramatic camera cuts. This next step is very important. You always want to do a dry fit. I'm going to show you why. These right here are useful tools. These are parallel clamps. I like these better than just regular bar clamps. You can get these just about anywhere. I'll be sure to give you a link for them. So we'll put these down and then put the bottom down and scooch them up tight. For this dry fit, they don't have to be terribly tight. This is good enough. This right here is the back, and because I use the CNC machine, I've got these grooves that I can just drop everything into. The grooves help line things up and it makes box assembly easier. This is where the ports are gonna go. This is my port support. It doesn't quite fit. A small round over on this port piece will fix that. We'll do that here in a minute. This right here is the inner baffle, and you can see some rabbets right here. Those rabbets need to go to the inside of the enclosure. Right here, I've got a hole that I drilled with the CNC machine. This right here is the outer baffle, more of just a beauty panel. And I've got holes there. So I can just put in dowel pins and I can perfectly line up the outer baffle to the inner baffle. That's handy when you have really tight tolerances like I've got here. There's not a lot of wiggle room. Well, we've got a problem. My sides are about 1 inch too tall. It's no big deal, mistakes happen. The reason why you do a dry fit is so you can catch the mistakes before the mistakes become a big problem. You're out there trying to build things, you're gonna make mistakes too. Those of us who are able to finish projects are those of us who are able to overcome mistakes. Be someone that overcomes your mistakes. Your mistakes don't define you. Run this thing through a saw and cut some material off. When I was putting the top on, I discovered that I made another mistake. Basically, I didn't get this groove here on the bottom of this piece lined up perfectly with the groove down there. So what I did was I just trimmed a little bit off this brace and put another round over on it. Well, hopefully the top will fit this time without much fuss. Okay, it's all together. Awesome. Everything fit. Now it's time for the thing that makes this box really cool, and the reason why I needed that brace, it's right over here. Let me grab it. It's an arrow port, but it's not just any port. Check this out. I figured out how to design it in 2 different colors that swirled together. So there's gonna be like a vortex swirling into the subwoofer box like that right there. And I think that's gonna be really damn cool. All right, look at this. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? I think I'll grab a chamfer bit and put a chamfer on the inside of the speaker cutouts and the inside of that recess for the port. Let's glue this sucker up. What I like to do is reference off the table, and if the table is flat, then we can get a good alignment. So I'm going to put some glue on this back seam here. And I always like to make sure that I've got glue up on the edge of my rabbet. I cut up a few of these triangles and I've just tacked them around randomly for some additional bracing. I've got some bigger ones that I'll add in just a bit. I should have mounted the port to the port brace before putting the box together, so I had to reach into the box and screw the ports in from behind that brace. I didn't get any footage of that because it was impossible to get a camera in position to show you that process. The tolerances on this piece are very tight, and after I used the chamfer bit on the outer baffle, the edges got very thin. That makes the piece very delicate. You don't want to drop it. If you do drop it, you'll snap the corners off, which is exactly what happened when I dropped this piece. But the good news is now I get to show you how to fix it. The rabbets and the dowel holes that I cut earlier now are going to come in very handy because those things allow me to line up the broken pieces perfectly. It's just a matter of covering everything with glue and mashing them into place. I'll come back later with some Bondo and some sandpaper. After covering this with carpet, you'll never see the mistake. Before carpeting the enclosure, I'm going to hit all of the edges with a round over bit. Carpet is a very forgiving material and it's very easy to work with. It stretches easily. So what I'm doing here is just using my hands to press the carpet down into the recesses. That chamfer I had earlier makes it a lot easier. A few relief cuts and then a pry tool to help press the carpet down so it adheres to the glue. The way this adhesive works is you spray it and then after it dries it sticks to itself. Trim out the carpet with a knife and you're off and running. Every time that I work with carpet, I get a little bit better. The first time I did this, it looked terrible. What I'm doing now is I'm overlaying the carpet a little bit and then using a sharp knife to cut through 2 layers at once. That way, when you fold the 2 layers back together, they'll mesh together perfectly. If done right, there'll be no noticeable seam. This, of course, takes practice to get right. So if it's your first time doing it, don't be disappointed if it comes out ugly. That's just your sign that you need to build another subwoofer box and try again. Earlier when I cut my side pieces on the CNC machine, my first cut went down 1/8 of an inch deep and then overlapped by 1/8 of an inch, and that left me a groove to run my knife. So I'm using that pry tool to jam the carpet into that groove so I've got a good hard line to cut off of and then cutting it with the knife. This looks absolutely amazing. You can see in these shots that the red and black port matches the subwoofers, and I threw down some white vinyl in between those ports to pick up the white lettering on the subwoofer. This little magic box right here is called a DATS. We're going to use it to verify the tuning frequency of the subwoofer and look for any strange patterns in the impedance response that could indicate things like a leak in the enclosure. Looks like we landed right at 31 Hertz. Our target was 32 Hertz. The impedance plot is nice and smooth without any ripples, so this box has been built correctly. With the enclosure installed in the vehicle, let's do a sweep with room equalization wizard. The first thing I want to point out is right around 80 Hertz, there is a big null that's around the crossover frequency. Flipping the phase on the subwoofer amplifier will probably fix that. We see that we peak here around 30 Hertz, and then there is a drop off between 30 and 20. That's what we should expect with a ported enclosure. That's a fourth order roll off below the tuning frequency. Comparing that to our predicted response in WinISD, we were predicting a peak of around 40 Hertz and then dropping off rapidly. That is a fourth order roll off below the tuning frequency. In vehicle, we get the benefit of cabin gain. We're able to extend down to 30 Hertz before we start getting that roll off. Fairly typical frequency response for a pair of ported 10-inch subwoofers. I am very happy with the way this box turned out. Those Vortex ports look absolutely amazing. I can't wait to make some more of those for my next subwoofer project. I want to say thank you to Brandon from Designer Motorsports for sending out these 10-inch subwoofers. You can click right here to buy a pair of these subwoofers over at Designer Motorsports. Before I go, I want to say thank you to all of my patrons with a big bonus shout out to Brian, Joe, and Bo. I'm Justin. This is the DIY Audio Guy YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next adventure.